Hello everybody, welcome to Red Toolhouse. A question I see asked a lot on Facebook, on the forums, homesteading channels, and stuff that I even get is, will pigs eat chickens? Can you have them commingled? So let's get into that here. So I guess the real answer to that question is yes and no. And I'll explain. So here is our chicken area. This is our greenhouse that the chickens are hanging out in right now. This will be where they stay in the wintertime as well. And midway through the day, we let them out to free range. So they kind of hang out here. Well, where I'm standing now in the dry creek bed is part of the pig pasture. The pigs, they're actually asleep about 50 feet behind the camera there. A little hot today, so they're just kicking it in the shade. So the chickens can come down here, and they like to come over in the shade. Obviously, like to come over and scratch through the pig poop. They like to scratch through a bunch of stuff over here. So there's really not an issue that we run into with the pigs attacking the chickens. So even years ago, when we totally free-ranged our chickens, we didn't have them in electrified poultry netting. We didn't restrain them, and they had full range at the front of the farm here. We actually fed them separate than the pigs, but they'd always come over when I'd feed the pigs and get into the feed. So there'd be times that the pigs and the chickens are literally fighting over the same food right in the bowl. And through all that time, we never had a pig turn and kill a chicken to eat it. There was one instance, however, I didn't have it on video, but I actually watched it happen, where they were all huddled around one feed bowl, a couple chickens and a couple pigs, and Abigail, my large breeding sow, she just happened to step over, and when she did, she kind of stepped on the body of the chicken and mortally wounded it. And that chicken, of course, starts to flail and flop and do all that type of stuff. So as soon as they saw that, then they actually turned and finished off the deal. Abigail and Molly at that time, they just turned and laid into that chicken. So they put her out of her misery, if you will. So I'm not giving you a blank check to say, yeah, just go ahead and throw them in together, they'll be fine. I think there's some specific variables that come into play there. A, how are you feeding your pigs? If the pigs don't have access to food, if they're hungry, if they feel desperate, then they may take that on. B, do you have chickens with any wounds? As I mentioned, Abigail stepping on that chicken, as soon as they saw it wounded, then it was game on. So if your chickens have any wounds on them, then the smell of blood, that type of thing. You may argue, well, Troy, your pigs don't have the taste for chicken, so they don't know what it is, they're not going to get it. When I have a chicken die mysteriously or old age, or I'm not quite sure what killed it, so I don't trust it for butchering, I toss it in the pig pen and the pig pasture. And the pigs clean that up. They'll eat everything but the feathers. There'll be some feathers laying around. So my pigs do they like chicken. Everything likes chicken. So it's not an issue of the pigs not having a taste for chicken per se. So if you're putting your homestead setup together and you really want to have a model where pigs and chickens can interact with one another, I think that's fine, but you need to take that in kind of small doses. So maybe introduce a couple chickens to the pigs. That way, if they turn around and go gangbusters on them, you haven't lost your whole flock. Or slowly introduce them to see how they do. Maybe stand close by. Again, you don't want to step in the way and try to rescue a chicken that a pig's going to chow down on, because you could end up losing a finger or a hand in that situation. But you can test that. And it may be one of those things, too, that the testing phase is kind of at the beginning. As you go a couple weeks introducing the chickens to the pigs and vice versa, then once the pigs become acclimated to them, they may not pay them much mind. Like I said, we free-ranged probably for 2 years, and our chickens just totally hung out with the pigs. There were times that the chickens would be standing on the pigs, standing right beside them during mealtime, during rest time, all that type of stuff. And it was kind of an interesting relationship there. There wasn't necessarily any big benefits of doing that, so I don't necessarily say that you have to put them together. Again, busting up some pig poop, a little bit, things like that was really all that they did. But it's not something I'd say, okay, this is a huge advantage, we have to put them together. So if you've got a situation like ours where you're not trying to combine them, but you're not going through a lot of efforts to keep them from spilling over into each other's area, then just keep an eye on it. That should be fine. I think most of the times they're going to just kind of go about their way. Now again, if a pig has access to the chicken feed, then he's going to blast through everything to get to your feed. So that's why in our situation, the chickens can easily go into the single strand of electric without any problems, but the pigs aren't going to come this way to be able to get into the greenhouse to get access to the food or the eggs. I want to give a shout out to Robert Steinbrecher. Robert bought one of our shirts, and I asked him, hey man, send us a picture and I'll share it. So I appreciate Robert buying our shirts. Those of you others that have bought our shirts, if you send me pictures, I'll share them. Appreciate you doing that. If you'd like to have a sexy red tool house shirt, you can see the link there below this video from our Teespring link. Oh, one more note, if you happen to be going to the Homesteaders of America Conference in Front Royal, Virginia in October, Kelly and I will be there the entire weekend. If you happen to see us, come up and say hi. We'd love to meet some of the people that we've talked to online, that we communicate back and forth through comments, and put some faces with names. So check us out if you're there. All right, take care, everybody.